Okay, so what we're looking for here is the opportunity to uh, utilize pack definition to get your jammer out faster and sooner. So let's watch this a moment. And right here was actually the opportunity to change pack definition. So we're going to move it back and I'm going to play it again. Right here. It's very hard to see. It's really, really subtle. But what it is that this player here is about to move back to play offense. And if this is a strategy that we're used to the blue team playing, VRDL playing, when they've caught in the front, they're pretty confident that they're going to be able to hold and whatnot. If we know that they're going to send one back, it's really at that moment that if we send one up, that we could get a split pack situation for this jammer. And technically, we wouldn't get a destruction either if we're the white team, if we're arch, because the game is played forward. So moving forward while there's still pack definition isn't something that you'll get a destruction from. Or moving forward and it doesn't create a destruction is not something that you'll get a destruction for. So, but instead, unfortunately, this player drops back before any of these players notice that they could have gone up and pushed out, hopefully getting a split pack. And so then instead what just happens is that she's playing offense here. Now the key for these players here is if they can see that their jammer is so far forward, she is relatively about, let's say about 13 feet from the closest pack member, this is not a time for them to move up whatsoever. Because this player here, she's gifting them an engagement zone, but the engagement zone starts to end right about here, where I'm showing you with my mouse. So they'd have to start dropping off players, and that's great if you can get VRDL to bridge. So, but what happens though is that this arch jammer is not pushing at a speed that's fast enough to move this pack faster than this pack is moving. So what we see is that this player here, one of the things that she's doing by targeting this blocker is that she's hopefully moving this blocker forward. And in doing so, she's moving pack definition closer to her 3-wall, which is going to make it so that they have more engagement zone. They don't have to bridge as soon. So this player here needs to get out of that hold as soon as possible and back to there, which she does, which is great. But do you see how this gap has slowly closed? And so VRDL is in no trouble right now. They don't have to worry about being out of play or anything like that because this player here is now moving laterally. She's not moving forward, and so she's not creating any distance. So what would the counter strategy be? Well, the counter strategy would be, first it would have been your player's nearly out. Try to create as much space for her as possible. So this player here actually should be getting behind this player here because she's very close and they want to create separation. So they should all be getting behind her so that they can create as much pack back as possible. But if they're not doing that, then this player, they can see that their jammer needs some help forward. And even though they would create pack definition up, it would still maybe help out if this player here were to run back. So right here, when this player is wanting to run back, they should notice that they can get there before it's split and create pack definition back. And then she wouldn't even be able to continue to drop back. She'd have to stay up or she'd destroy the pack or by splitting it. Now at this point here, that strategy is no longer one that they can utilize because if this player here were to run up, she would definitely get a split pack and she'd get a split pack destruction penalty, be sent to the box, and their team would be down to 3. So at this point here, what they want to do then is create as much of the pack back behind this person. And so even, I know that this person is bracing, but this would even be a good time if they had control of the jammer. If they were in control, this player here would move her hips back even further to guarantee that this player has to bridge more for them. But that's not really a thing. That's not happening here. This player, again, targets her, not because she's necessarily trying to get the jammer out, but because she's trying to move her up to help keep her players in play. And finally, we see this player drop her butt back in. But if she had dropped her butt in here, that would be about 7 feet further back behind her jammer, which would have definitely helped her jammer out. And so then what we see here is that their jammer ends up getting stuck behind the blue wall. So where she had nearly been out, now she's been engulfed and now passed by her opposing jammer. And that's definitely not a good place to be. The person going back to help her is not her pivot, so we're not going to see a star pass anytime soon. And then we see that this is not really an ideal time for someone to come back, because if this player moves up and then this formation here suddenly is further than 10 feet apart, then there's a split pack, and that will mean that the jammer up front can get out sooner. And then we see that, let's see what the play is that the officiator is holding up. We see an out of play here. So we see pack is here, out of play there, and then that VRDL jammer gets out. So definitely not really a place we want to be. All right.